Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Business Mathematics. So finally, we are at our finals. And to start our finals, we are now at our week 13. And for week 13, our topic is about simple business problems. So I will show you a video discussion made by Miss April Belaras. So please enjoy or please watch her video discussion that I will be sharing onto you to our presentation.
Good afternoon. If you are in business, to know on how to know about the simple problems about involving business. Okay, so here are some terms that we're going to encounter during our discussion. We have the gross sales, net sales, refines and allowances, cost of goods sold, cost of goods for sale, beginning inventory, ending inventory, purchases, gross profit, net profit, operating expenses. Okay? Now, what are gross sales? So, ano ba yung mga gross sales na yan? So, in a buy and sell business, halimbawa nasa business ka ng buy and sell, buying and selling, goods are always sold at a higher price than the cost in order to make profit. Tama? Alam na may benta mo ng mas lower, hindi ka na wala ka ng profit. Okay? Ayan. So, we have the total amount received for goods sold over a period of time, which is what we call the gross sales. Okay? Gross sales. But what are gross sales? Right? So, gross sales, also known as top line sales, these are the total of all the products and service sales reported by an organization during a period. All right? And because gross sales are the total unadjusted sales, no returns, allowances, rebates, or discounts are included. Okay? And to make it easy for us to understand, we can consider gross sales as the revenue from the products that have actually moved off the shelves and sold to the customers. And gross sale is a common measure used in retail businesses to compare overall organizational size and annual growth. Okay, so in other words, we can say that the total sales tell more about a company's size than it does its profitability. Okay, how are we going to calculate the gross sales? So we have here the following steps to follow to calculate gross sales. First one is to focus. Okay, saan ka magpo-focus? Doon sa specific time period. Okay, so finding the gross sales number is easier when you know the period of time you wish to review. Kaya kailangan mag-focus ka dun sa specific time period. So you may choose to look at a specific day, week, month, or year depending on your goals. Okay? And then another one is to determine the product cost. Okay? So anong gagawin mo dyan? You have to do some research. Dapat mag-research ka rin to learn on how much the company's product sold for online or in store. Okay? Kasi magkakaiba yan. May mas mahal, may mas mura. So, kailangan mo mag-research. And this is also the amount the customers spend on the items that they purchase. So, you may access the information through company records and databases. Okay? So, yan. You have to determine. Dapat alam mo yung mga presyo or amount ng mga product. And another one is to multiply the items sold by the price of the item. Okay, so yan, multiply mo lang. So, gross sales is equal to the sum of all sales. So to calculate gross sales, simply add the total amount of incoming sales throughout a specific period of time. Okay, so remember that the amount you get does not factor in discounts, returns, or any later modifications to pricing. It only factors in the total amount of purchases made. Kaya siya sum of all sales. Okay? How about net sales? What are net sales? Net sales are the total revenue generated by a company, excluding any sales returns, allowances, and discounts. Okay, so yun yung net sales. It is a very important figure and is used by analysts when making decisions about the business or analyzing a company's top line growth. Right? So we have here the formula for calculating net sales. So net sales is equal to gross sales minus sales returns minus allowances minus discounts. Okay? Ayan. So we have the net sales components. First one is the gross sales. So the total sales that are not adjusted for any discounts, allowances, or returns. So yun yung gross sales. Kaya included, yung nabanggit kanina, they are excluded. So they include all types of sales such as cash, debit, or credit card, and trade credit sales. Another one is the sales returns. Okay, another components is the sales returns. So if any goods that are purchased are eventually returned, they fall under returns. Okay, companies typically refund the complete or partial amount of the goods, and the amount of gross sales is reduced by the amount of the refunds. Okay, some companies, binabalik nila yung kompleto mo na pera. Some may nabawasan kasi daw may bayad yung resibo, mga ganon. Okay? So, ayun. And another one is the allowances. So, for any goods that are damaged, companies reduce the mark price. Okay? Tapos, bibenta na nila ng mas mura. Kasi may damage na siya. Okay? So, they sell it at a lower price. And the sales of such goods are recorded at a lower price. So, therefore, the difference between the market price and the selling price, which is the allowance, is reduced from the gross sales number. So, doon na siya ibabawas. Another components is the discounts. Okay? So, several stores offer seasonal discounts. O, di ba? Ito yung gustong-gusto natin pag may discounts. Pero usually, yun din pala yung amount. Nilalagyan lang nila ng discount para mabili. Di ba? So, this one. So, some stores, so they offer seasonal discounts to customers on goods purchase. Okay? So, this is also be offered if the customer makes a bulk purchase. Ayan, kapag, di ba meron tayong tinatawag na, wholesale, retail, ganon. Ayan, so, bibigyan ka daw ng may-ari ng discount kapag madami-dami yung ipupurchase mo. Okay? So, bulk purchase or makes a payment before the stipulated time. Okay, di ba? Yun. So, such discounts are reduced from gross sales. So, those are the components of net sales. So, net sales and gross sales. So, they are at times confused and assumed to be similar. Okay, so, yun, medyo nakakahilo sila, pero, hindi sila pareho. Okay, net sales are derived from gross sales and are more important when analyzing the quality of a company's sales. While gross sales on their own are not as informative as it overstates a company's actual sales because it includes several variables that cannot essentially be classified as sales. All right? And net sales is a more accurate reflection of a company's revenues. Okay, it can be used to assess the true turnover of the company along with the deriving strategies for the sales and marketing teams to enhance future revenues. Another one, gross sales are calculated simply as the unit sold multiplied by the sales price per unit. Okay, the gross sales amount is typically much higher as it does not include the returns, allowances, and discounts. So, medyo mas malaki si gross sale kaysa kay net sale. Kasi nga, hindi kasali yung mga returns, allowances, and discounts. And then the net sales amount, which is calculated after adjusting for the variables, is lower. Okay, so kasi kinakalculate yan, nabanggit natin kanina, halimbawa yung na-purchase mo ay damage, so ayan, babawasan na siya ng into lower price. Kaya medyo mas lower si net sales kaysa kay gross sales. Ayun. Because the non-sales revenue items are removed, net sales are a better reflection of the company's turnover and health, and it is employed for decision-making purposes, right? So we have here a table that highlights the key differences between the net and gross sales. So, net sales is the total sales after deductions. Ayan, di ba? Nabanggit na natin kanina, kasali dyan yung mga allowances, yung mga refunds, returns, gano'n. So, total sales after deductions. Yung gross naman, total sales with no deductions. Kaya yung nabanggit natin kanina kay gross sales, sum of all sales. Yun. Kasi walang deduction, kaya mas higher siya. Their interdependency, si net sales dependent on gross sales, while gross sales are not dependent on net sales. And the amount, net sales is comparatively less, gross sales is high. For the formula, gross sales is deduction. Okay, gross sales minus deductions. Gross sales units sold times the sales price. Ayun. Kaya mas higher siya sa amount, si gross sale. Alright, and we have here the refunds and allowances. When customers return because they are defective, so pag binalik nila yung mga pinurchase nila sa'yo, limbawa ikaw yung manufacturer, the customers are given refunds kasi nga may defect yung product na nabili sa'yo. So this item is known as refunds and allowance and decrease the gross sales. Okay? The amount remaining after deducting refunds from the gross sales is what we know as the net sales. Okay? All right. So we have here an example. All right. Para mas maintindihan natin. So, Julie's fruit stand had gross sales of 89,622 pesos and 50 centavos during a certain week. If refunds and allowances to 8,501 pesos and 90 centavos, how much was the net sales? Okay, so magkano yung gross sales ng fruit stand ni Julie? So, 89,000. Tapos, paano kung may refunds and allowances na 8,000? So, magkano daw yung net sales? Alright, so we have to identify first our given before we calculate for the net sales. Alright, so the gross sales denoted as GS. Okay, gross sales is equal to 89,622 pesos and 50 centavos. Okay. And then we have the RA, the refunds and allowances. Okay, so how much is that? 8,501 pesos and 90 centavos. So we are going to find for the net sales. Okay, so how much was the net sales? As for our solution, in finding the net sales, all we have to do is to get the difference between the gross sales and the refunds and allowances. Okay, so what is the difference? Minus 8,501 and 90 centavos. So this is equal to 81,120 pesos and 60 centavos. Okay, so yun yung refunds and allowances. Ang halimbawa, siguro 8,000, worth 8,000 pesos yung mga nasirang fruit. So yun yung refunds and allowances. So yung net sale niya ay 81,120 pesos and 60 centavos. Alright? Now we have the inventory methods for ending inventory and cost of goods sold. Okay, so cost of goods sold and inventory. Ayan, so cost of goods sold is the cost to the seller of the goods sold to customers. Okay, so it is an expense item. Though we do not see the word expense, this is in fact is an expense item found in the income statement as a reduction to revenue. As for a merchandising company, the cost of goods sold can be relatively large. Okay, so medyo malaki siya. Kaya all merchandising companies have a quantity of goods on hand which is called the merchandise inventory to sell to customers. Okay, so yung merchandise inventory na yan, that is the quantity of goods available for sale. Okay, available for sale at any given time. Alright? Ayan. So, to determine the cost of goods sold, inventories are taken at the beginning and end of the period under consideration. Okay? The inventory made at the beginning of the period, which is what we call beginning inventory, while the inventory taken at the end is the ending inventory. So to replenish inventories, purchases are made, and this refers to the cost of the additional merchandise bought. With all of this in mind, the following are computed as follows. So we have the formulas. CGFS, cost of goods sold, okay, is equal to BI plus P, okay. CGS equal to CGFS minus BI, where CGFS is the cost of goods for sale, ayan. CGS, cost of goods sold, so yun pala yung cost of goods sold. And then P stands for purchases, BI is for beginning inventory, EI is the ending inventory. Okay, now let's have an example. At the end of June, the inventory of Goodwill Bookstore was 396,170 pesos, while the purchase during the month was 547,812 pesos. Okay? If the ending inventory during the month of May was 950,432 pesos, what is the cost of goods sold? Okay? So, ano yung cost? Magkano daw yung benta? Okay. So, we have the beginning inventory, which is equal to 953,432 pesos, and then the ending inventory, which is equal to 396,170 pesos, and we have purchases. So, nag-purchase siya during this month. Okay. which is equal to 547,812 pesos. So we are going to find for the CGS. Okay, so ano ulit yung CGS? Cost of goods sold. Okay. So we have to calculate for the cost of the goods sold. Ayan. So first is, ano yung una nating hahanapin? Hanapin muna natin yung cost of goods for sale. Okay? So cost of goods for sale or yung CGFS natin. So this is equal to the beginning inventory plus purchases. Okay? So yung beginning inventory natin is 953,432 pesos plus the purchases na 547,812 pesos. Okay? So the cost of goods for sale now is equal to 1,501,244 pesos. Okay? So, nakuha na natin yung cost of goods sold. So, we can now compute for the cost of goods sold for sale. Ayan. So, pwede natin i-compute yung cost of goods sold. Okay? So, the cost of goods sold is the difference between the cost of goods for sale and the ending inventory. Okay? Ayan. So, the CGFS natin ay 1,501,244 pesos minus the ending inventory, which is equal to 396,170. So, this is now equal to 1,105,074 pesos. And, ayun lang. Okay? Yan. So, yan yung cost of goods sold. Okay, so at the end of June. So on this time, we have here the net income, gross, and operating profit. So gross profit, operating profit, and net income are all types of earnings that a company generates. Okay, so ito yung mga klase ng earnings ng isang company. So, however, each metric represents at different parts of the production cycle and earnings process. Okay. Ayan. So, the terms profit, ayan. So, the terms profit and income, okay, they're often used interchangeably in day-to-day life, okay? In corporate finance, however, these terms can very different and specific meanings. That is, depending on the context in which they are used, okay? While income does not mean positive flow of cash into a business, okay? Net income is something much more complex. Profit is generally understood to refer to the cash that is left over after accounting for expenses. Though both gross profit and operating profit fit this definition in the simplest sense, the kinds of income and expenses that are accounted for differ in important ways. Okay? Ayan. So, all three financial metrics are located on a company's income statement, and the order in which they appear help show the relationship to each other and their importance. Okay? So, the top line of the income statement reflects a company's gross revenue or the total amount of income generated by the sale of goods or services. Okay, so from there, various expenses and alternate income streams are added and subtracted to arrive at the various level of profit. Okay. Ayan. So let us understand more about gross profit. So when we say gross profit, this is the total revenue less, okay, total revenue less only those expenses directly related to the production of goods for sale. So this is called the cost of goods sold, or the COGS. Okay. Ayan. So GOGS represents direct labor, okay, direct materials or raw materials, and a portion of manufacturing overhead that is tied to the production facility. Okay, so COGS does not include indirect expenses such as the cost of the corporate office. Okay, so this is a key metric since it directly impacts a company's gross profit, which is calculated as follows. Okay, gross profit is equal to the difference between revenue and cost of goods sold. Okay, so that is gross profit. Since COGS represents the cost of acquiring inventory and manufacturing the products, gross profit reflects the revenue left over to fund the business after accounting for the cost of production. While gross profit is technically a net measurement of profit, it is referred to as gross because it does not include debt expenses, taxes, or all the other expenses involved in running the company. Okay, that is gross profit. So when we say operating profit, okay, so next on the income statement, which is operating profit, okay, this is derived from gross profit. Okay, so this reflects the residual income that remains after accounting for all the costs of doing business. Okay, doing business. And in addition to COGS, this includes fixed cost expenses such as rent, insurance, okay, variable expenses such as shipping and freight, ano pa, payroll and utilities, okay, as well as the amortization and depreciation of assets. Okay, so yun yung mga fixed cost expenses natin. Ayan. So, all the expenses that are necessary to keep the business running must be included. Okay? So, ayan. Just to keep your business running. Kailangan kinikip mo lahat yung mga yan. Para naman hindi ka mabankrupt. Diba? Okay. So, in calculating the operating profit, this is equal to the difference between the gross profit and operating expenses and the depreciation and amortization. So, ayan. Okay, so this is about operating profit. Alright, so this is also referred to as the earnings. Okay, so earnings before interest and tax, pwede rin. Okay, so however, um, earnings before interest and tax can include non-operating revenue naman. So, which is not included in the operating profit. Kaya if a company doesn't have non-operating revenue, earnings before interest and tax and operating profit will be the same figure. Okay? And we have the net income. Okay? Net income, this is a company's profit. Okay? Company's profit. Yeah, net income or net profit. Since net income is the last line located at the bottom of the income statement, it is also referred to as the bottom line. Okay? Yan, yung net income mo, yung net profit na tinatawag. And it also reflects the total residual income that remains after accounting for all cash flows, both positive and negative. Okay, so in other words, from revenue, which is called the top line number, all income, expenses, and costs are deducted to arrive at net income. Okay, ayan. So from the operating profit figure, debt expenses such as loan interest, taxes, and one-time entries for unusual expenses such as lawsuits or equipment purchases are all subtracted. Ayan. So, nababawas na yan pagdating kay net income. Okay? So, all additional income from secondary operations or investments and one-time payments for things such as the sale of assets are added. Okay, so net income is arguably the most important financial metric, reflecting a company's ability to generate profit for owners and shareholders alike. Okay, yeah. We have here an example for gross profit. Okay. So, paano ka mag-generate ng income mo sa business mo? Alright. So, we have here the Hershey Drugstore during a certain month had net sales amounting to 349,650 pesos and cost of goods sold of 297,805 pesos. Okay. How much is the gross profit? If operating expenses during the month amounted 25,618 pesos. So what is the net profit? So from your net sales to your CGS, how much? So magkano daw yung gross profit mo? And if the operating expenses during that month, ano naman yung net profit? Okay? So, para malaman natin kung ano yung uunahin natin i-calculate, so we have to identify first our given. Okay? So, gross profit is denoted as GP. Okay? So, we have given the NS or the net sale. Okay? So during a certain month, yung drugstore ay nagkaroon siya ng net sales which is equal to 349,650 pesos. Tapos, the store had a cost of goods sold. Okay. Nakabenta siya ng 297,805 pesos. And then, we have the OE. So, ano yung OE? The operating expense. Okay, so gross profit is determined by finding the difference between the cost of goods sold and the net sales. Kaya involved dyan si OE, yung operating expense. Okay, which is magkano? O yung operating expenses mo. That is equal to 25,618 pesos. So we are going to find for the net profit and gross profit. Okay, so may kinita ba yung drugstore? So let's start for our calculation. So first one is to find for the gross profit. Okay, gross profit is the difference between the net sale and the cost of goods sold. Okay, so yung net sales natin is 349,650 pesos. Cost of goods sold is 297,805 pesos. So the gross profit is 51,847 pesos. Okay. So next is for the net profit. Okay, net profit is the difference between the gross profit and your operating expenses. Okay, so yung gross profit na nakuha natin is equal to 51,847 pesos. Your operating expense is 25,618 pesos. So the net profit of the Hershey Drugstore is 26,227 pesos. Okay, so that is the net profit. Okay, so medyo malaki naman yung kinita niya. Alright. Okay, there. So that ends our discussion for this week. Okay. So I hope you understand on how to solve simple problems about your business. Okay. So kung nasa business ka, dapat alam mo kung paano kunin yung mga gross sales mo, net sales, may mga refunds and allowances na yan, kung paano mag-deduct. Okay. Ayan. So, may kinita ba yung business mo?
So, thank you, Ma'am April, for that discussion. So let's go back to our slideshow presentation. So for week 13, we have learned the process of trading, also determine process from given sample problems and grasp the basic business problems. So for your activity, we have word problems. So we have total of 5 items only. So once again, thank you so much, Miss April, for the discussion. And uh, for ending this video discussion, I would like to say thank you and share Bible verse from the book of Mark, chapter 9, verse 23. Said Jesus, everything is possible for one who believes. So thank you once again, and God bless everyone.